which is why I alone can fix it.
The only part of that sentence that turned out to be true was the shrug. Everyone's gonna have great health care. And yet, even in defeat, Trump's team continued to insist the man who claimed he could fix Washington had done everything he could to get a deal.
Has he done every single thing he can possibly and used every minute of every day that's possible to get this thing through? Then the answer is yes.
That's right. Trump used every minute of every day to get this bill passed. Like on Thursday, when Republicans were desperately trying to cobble together enough yes votes, and Trump was doing this. Looks bad, but maybe he was talking to Paul Ryan on the CB radio. Breaker, breaker, this is Big Reg. Let's put the hammer down on this healthcare deal. Come back. And then there's the Republican Party. They campaigned on this for 7 years, ran on it in 4 consecutive national elections, and voted on it more than 60 times in Congress. And now, it turns out that was all just one big con, calling into question whether the Republican Party is even a serious governing party capable of getting things done. And even Republicans are starting to admit that it might not be. Like Florida Congressman Tom Rooney, who said, I've been in this job 8 years, and I'm racking my brain to think of one thing our party has done that's been something positive, that's been something other than stopping something else from happening. 8 years, and he can't think of one positive. That's like a doctor giving a speech at his retirement party and saying, now that I think of it, every patient I treated died. To me. Now, the media has been giving most of the credit for the defeat of this bill to a group of hardline conservatives known as the House Freedom Caucus. But let's remember that there were as many as 30 moderate Republicans who are likely to vote no on this bill, and the credit for that goes to the protesters and activists across the country who put tremendous pressure on Republicans through town halls and calls to congressmen not to back this bill.
We are going to pass the bill, and we're going to repeal Obamacare.
I would like everyone who is affected by the Affordable Care Act and affected by health care to stand up.
Before I came over here to speak with you, I counted my call log. I have 275 constituents who asked me to oppose this bill, and only 4 who've asked me to support it.
Who are the 4 people who called to support this bill? Okay, guys. I need you to call as many members of Congress as you can. Ivanka, John, Tiffany, you tell them you're calling on behalf of the president. And Eric, I don't know, just say you're a concerned citizen. So now that the deal-making skills Trump spent the entire campaign bragging about have turned out to be a complete sham, is the president at least willing to admit that he failed to deliver on a key campaign promise? Of course not.
And I never said, I guess I'm here, 64 days? I never said repeal and replace Obamacare. You've all heard my speeches. I never said repeal it and replace it within 64 days.
That's right. Trump never said 64 days. He said 1 day.
On my first day, I am going to ask Congress to send me a bill to immediately repeal and replace disastrous Obamacare.
We will do it very quickly.
We're going to do it simultaneously. It'll be just fine.
It's going to be so easy. It'll be repeal and replace. It will be essentially simultaneously, but will most likely be on the same day or the same week, but probably the same day. Could be the same hour.
It could maybe even be the same minute or the same second or nanosecond. In fact, some people say that time is the 4th dimension, in which case, through the theory of relativity, it technically could have already happened. Which would mean in an alternate universe, we've already repealed and replaced. In fact, not only is Trump now trying to claim that he never promised to replace Obamacare quickly, he's trying to claim it wasn't even really his idea, telling the Washington Post, I was a team player, and I had an obligation to go along with this. You can't use the team player defense after you just said this the day before.
In an interview just out with Time magazine, the president talked about his wiretapping claims against President Obama, and in an answer about questions of his credibility, he responded to the reporter, I guess I can't be doing so badly because I'm president and you're not.
Wow.
Unless my health care bill fails, in which case you could be the president. Are you the president? president know? In fact, Trump seems to be looking for literally anyone else to take the blame for the collapse of a health care bill he enthusiastically supported, like House Speaker Paul Ryan, who crafted the bill. Trump instigated yet another absurd Washington drama over the weekend when he cryptically tweeted, "Watch Judge Jeanine on Fox News tonight at 9 p.m. Why did Trump plug a Fox News show that he'd only ever mentioned once before? Well, she opened the show with this.
Paul Ryan needs to step down as Speaker of the House. This is not on President Trump. No one expected a businessman to completely understand the nuances, the complicated ins and outs of Washington and its legislative process.
Not only is she saying what Trump wants to hear, she's saying it the way Trump wants to hear it, slow and with a thick New York accent. Paul Ryan needs to step down. Also, people did expect Trump to understand the process. Do I have to remind you?
Nobody knows the system better than me.
Look at that face. That's like the freeze frame of a 90s sitcom, Dad, at the end of an episode. You almost expect credits to roll.
Nobody knows the system better than me.
This has been a Conway special production.
Sit, Spicy, sit. Good job.
So is Trump's tweet to watch Judge Dean a thinly veiled shot at Ryan? Trump's team tried to tamp down the speculation.
Does the president want Paul Ryan to resign as Speaker?
I think it was more coincidental, Chris.
Oh, come on. Why would he say watch her and then that's the first thing out
Because
of
he
her mouth?
loves Judge Jeanine and he wanted to do Judge Jeanine a favor.
I asked the press secretary why the president was tweeting about a particular show. He said he likes the show.
Trump's team is now defending him by saying he likes to recommend TV shows. Mr. Trump, tell us about your health care plan. Well, just check out tonight's episode of The Walking Dead. So, Trump may be looking for a scapegoat, but he also doesn't seem too disappointed about his and his party's failure to deliver on their central campaign promise. A reporter for Politico tweeted on Friday, White House officials and advisors say Trump is not that upset. He was far angrier about inauguration crowd size. Trump was more upset about crowd sizes than failing to deliver on one of his key campaign promises. Donald, don't you have any shame? This has been a closer look. We'll be right back with Craig Ferguson, everybody.